Welcome to a noob's guide to QUEEK Headtaker. This is QUEEK, the brave but exceedingly dangerous warlord of Clan Moors, whose bloodlust and egomaniacal tendencies have made him one-third owner of the timeshare that is Carrick 8 Peaks. QUEEK is a short-fused, furry red rocket, primed to explode on anybody that rubs him the wrong way. He's also a power-hungry narcissist with no unique game mechanics in Total War, but who needs them when you're a walking NutriBullet. QUEEK Headtaker is another lord with a book written about him, so it's impossible to fit all his random lore into a 10-minute video, of which 8 minutes is genitalia references. You may remember QUEEK from my previous videos as the up-and-coming power bottom of the Carrick 8 Peaks manwich. When he's not finding new and exciting ways to backdoor Skarsnik, QUEEK takes great delight in seeking out the most powerful foes on the battlefield, urinating on their corpses to confirm his dominance and undoubtedly T-posing over them afterwards, because QUEEK has spent a lifetime redecorating the tunnels, lairs, and abandoned dwarf holds with the offal that is blood, body parts, and papasan chairs. He's earned so many grudges, the dwarfs have renamed the space between their bits and their bungholes a QUEEK just to save time. Belagar Ironhammer in particular wants to make flea-infested underwear out of QUEEK's backside, since the Headtaker was the first to invoke squatters' rights on Carrick 8 Peaks and beat the Hobo Dwarf King to Big Rock Candy Mountain, renaming it as the City of Pillars. It's not surprising then to find QUEEK gets extra melee attack and weapon damage when fighting dwarfs and greenskins in-game, having found the perfect skaven fighting style of swinging his arms around as fast as possible like a demented windmill that can also bite you. Because QUEEK didn't get the name Headtaker by hanging out in truck stop bathrooms. And since nothing terrifies your enemies like wearing someone else's head, our rodent Buffalo Bill here has more skulls on him than a Hot Topic employee, and sleeps on a pile of heads so high it requires 2 Sherpas and a mountain goat just to reach the top. Concerningly, QUEEK has also been seen whispering to them, which is made worse by reports that the heads seem to talk back. After the fall of a night goblin lair near Carrick Draj, one of QUEEK's heads whispered directions to the legendary weapon Dwarf Gouger, a unique in-game item ideal for punching through plate and finding the creamy nougat center of any dwarf in QUEEK's path. QUEEK keeps this disembodied council around at all times, by walking around with a rack that would make Dolly Parton blush. The stars of this itty-bitty cranial committee are Dwarf King Krug Ironhand, Orc Boss Morglum Blacktooth, the entire body of Skaven Warlord Sleek Sharpwit, and the hands of Baron Albrecht Kraus of Averland. And I know you're thinking, what awesome mechanic did this spawn in the Total War games? But it didn't, it's a button. Boop. Now you get a debuff against any lords that QUEEK fights. The headhunter mechanic you would expect for it, defeat someone and you get buffs for doing so, is already built into the base game, as in Warhammer 2, every time you defeat a legendary lord, no matter who you play, you eat their soul and claim a new power-up like a depraved Mega Man, which is nothing new for QUEEK. His entire life has been spent in pursuit of power. When he was born, QUEEK ate the rest of his litter before ever even opening his beady red eyes. Lord Nodwell, the head of Clan Moors, saw in QUEEK the traits that could make a Skaven father proud: handsome radish looks, a stratospheric ego, and the propensity for murdering anyone in their way, the Caitlyn Jenner trifecta. Nodwell adopted QUEEK straight away, spoiling him with scraps of dwarf mutton, never-ending compliments, personalized contracts on his life, and the best warp shard-infused rat armor money could steal. Leaving QUEEK with such a bad case of affluenza, he's willing to invoke the name of the Great Horned Rat and even spout blasphemy in front of Grayseers. Unwilling to ever come in second place, QUEEK now often claims the victories of other Skaven are his own as well, leading to him leeching the experience of other Skaven generals in-game. And if they dare to talk back, Papa Nodwell uses his influence to get them transferred to the Northern Waste, which goes a long way to explain the psychosis that soon manifested in QUEEK's already malignant brain. QUEEK began feeling a tingling sense of loyalty to Lord Nodwell, which in Skaven society makes him nuttier than a Japanese bukkake festival. I mean, close your eyes and picture the typical Skaven. They have no concept of honor, no shred of empathy, no idea of courage, no ability for self-reflection, shame, or responsibility, and anything that goes wrong is always someone else's fault. As a race, they're defined by unrestricted consumption that despoils everything around them, and anyone not at the top top of society is exploited to further the 1%'s climb to power, which is such an apt description for the 21st century it's terrifying, and also never close your eyes after someone says bukkake. What makes Clan Moors so unique in Skavendom is that they all have a twisted sense of loyalty, from the lowest Skaven slave to Queek himself. Normally defeated Skaven armies are wiped out to the last clan rat, but if a unit surrenders straight away to Clan Moors, they're incorporated. Lord Nodwell even promotes those who show promise and seem trustworthy. I mean, relatively trustworthy. Betrayal and backstabbing are still ubiquitous. But if the murder of a superior actively hinders the success of a Clan Moors operation, it's considered treason. This unity of purpose has moved Clan Moors and Lord Nodwell ever closer to the head of the Council of 13, and has left the other Skaven Lords of Decay with splitting migraines trying to fathom this new concept. In-game, this loyalty is reflected in the Headtaker's unique bonuses, and his real strength lies in the loyalty and training of other Skaven frontline units. Clan Rats and Storm Vermin both have their upkeep halved, while Queek also gets 2 extra uses of the Menace Below to drown his enemies in smelly vermin ballsacks. Thanks to skills like Life is Very Cheap, these same trash tier units start at higher levels with more armor and even replenish, so you can think like a true Skaven warlord and throw so many bodies at your enemies that would make even a Soviet general squeamish. This overriding sense of solidarity even applies to the generic warlords of Clan Moors, which, thanks to the skill Make Examples, are recruited with 2 extra loyalty, while Queek inspires the rats around him to even greater feats and creates fear in his enemies, which of course makes the Greyseers despise him even more, because if there's one thing Greyseers hate, it's annoying, pompous, arrogant pricks. That's their department. The best of Skavendom, though, Queek brings into his own personal Crimson Guard, an elite Storm Vermin unit filled with the strongest, fiercest, and most ruthless rats of Clan Moors. He keeps 10 claws of these troops, each 100 strong, as his personal honor guard, ready to plumb the depths of the enemy's cloaca. You might expect them to show up in-game as a Skaven Regiment of Renown, but for now, they're a skill tree item, so instead you can make an entire army of elite vermin immortals. This guard is so loyal to Queek, their captain even once took a dagger for him, an act of selflessness so exceptional, Queek rewarded him with access to his own harem of broodmothers, which only the most elite Skaven normally have access to. The rest get a hot date with their right hands on Friday nights, which raises the obvious question: where are all the Skaven women? To find the answer to lore this depraved, I had to descend into the wretched hive of scum and villainy that is 1D4chan. In the deepest depths of Skaven undercities, there are hidden breeding chambers filled with hundreds of bloated, indolent baby makers called broodmothers. A female rat typically births 6 litters a year consisting of 12 rat pups, and these all hit puberty in about a month, meaning that a population of only 2 rats can swell to 1,250 in a single year. How tagging in on this overworked, sagged-out uterus can be considered a reward is too terrifying to consider unless Clan Moors likes their women on their sloppy 387ths. But as all this comes from End Times lore, it can thankfully be ignored. An official miniature from Games Workshop depicting a Skaven female does actually exist, and it's exactly the sort of furry fetish clickbait you'd expect, only topped by this unofficial model from Reaper Miniatures. Now there's a body only a psychotic murder machine could love. Speaking of whom, Queek has a Vortex campaign that starts him in the Southlands, but for the true Vermintide experience, you'll want the Mortal Empires campaign, where your goal is to fully claim Carrick 8 Peaks for the glory of Queek. The Skaven already control its lower depths, and you'll actually start with a hidden underburrow beneath the settlement. To take the mountain, point your armored anti-infantry, armor-piercing duelist in its general direction, and watch as Queek chews through more scenery than Burt Reynolds' mustache. And unlike other footbound lords, Queek doesn't get stuck in blobs of enemies, as his Verminous Valor skill is specifically designed to let him slip free and restart his furry shenanigans elsewhere. So raise an endless swarm of ratmen to tar pit your enemies, and send the pride of Skavendom to predator missile the enemy lord. then collect their skulls like a different predator to proudly display on your trophy rack, because the Lord of the City of Pillars is coming home, and once Queek has redecorated those halls, he has some serious daddy issues to address. If you enjoyed this video, check out the 2 other lords in the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly of Carrick 8 Peaks series, and you can look for a very special cinematic video on the Fight for the Mountain to release soon. Thanks for watching.